Now also I can have a list containing a list. For example, if I have a B, and B is basically again one more list, and it is learn, and the second thing is simple, and let me from UI5CN, and this is basically my second list. I will press Control Enter to execute it. Also, what I can do here is I can say Z equal to A, comma B. And this will basically create a list where A is again a list and B is again one more list. So I will press Enter here and I can print Z. And if I print Z and press Control Enter, you can see in the output that I have one list and again one more list, and they are combined put in a list. And let me try to show you how to access individual element of A. So if I want to access Ajay here, then what I will type here, I will just say which is the index in my main list, which is like the 0th index, and then I will basically use one more square bracket and say what is the index in the list A which I need to access, which is 2. To get Ajay. So let's try to print that, and we have Ajay in the output. So this is how you have nested list, one list inside the list, and it's very common in projects because sometimes you don't know what contains inside the list. You can have an object also inside a list. So more about the object we will see in coming sections, but this is the basic idea that list can contain anything which is relevant to your program. Now let's talk about some of the function of list which are very common. For example, if I have a variable called number and I basically count from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I will be able to show you some of the operations which are very common to traverse this array and only select few. For example, if I only want the array which is till number 2. So let's try to print the length of this number, which is going to be 8, because we have started from 0 and gone to 7. So basically we have the length as 8. Now what I'm going to do, I only need a list or traverse through this list only till 2. Then I will be basically writing its index position. So basically if we start from 0, this is 0, 1, 2, and it will be basically considering the list till index 3, but not include the index 3. So let's try to print what this gives output. So you can see that we have 0, 1, 2, and the third index is not really considered here, and we have an index till 3. So before third index, all the part will be captured. I can store it in another variable called num3, and num3 will be getting this value, and I can print num3. And this is the way you can traverse a list till a fixed index. Now one question which can come here is, what if I don't want to consider the first elements and I want to consider the elements only after certain index? For example, what if I don't want 0, 1, 2 and I want to start the list from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Then I will just change this 3 and I will say start from 3 and till the list ends. And let's try to see it. The output is same. When I place the 3 before the colon, then the list will be starting from 3 and you have the third index also considered. Similarly, if I want to just capture from the third index to the fifth index, I can mention a 5 here and it will only print 3, 4, 5. It will actually not print 5 because the last index is not considered. So let's try to see the output, and you can see that we have only 3 and 4 because it starts from 3 and it will not take the last index which you mentioned here. It will just take one index before that. So that is the way you perform slicing in list, and this slicing functionality is very useful when you are traversing data or going for a for loop. Now one interesting slicing syntax can also be having a colon, and this third number suggests how many numbers you want to jump. For example, if I give it 0 and also give it 8, then I say 2, then it will basically start from 0 till the index which is mentioned here, -1, which is the 7th index, and it will jump 2 digit. So basically what we will get is even numbers. So as you can see, 0, 2, 4, 6. The same is applicable if I say 3, and it will basically give me all the odd numbers or multiple of 3s. So also I can skip these 2 numbers as well, and it will still operate. It will take the first element and traverse till the last element with a difference of 2 numbers in between, which is skipping 1 number. So it will basically give even number, the same thing which we did previously. So these are the slicing technique, and this is going to be very handy when we are traversing and writing if-else condition. Now let's see some of the inbuilt function. Now one of the function which you have already seen previously is the length function. This is most commonly used when you're writing a for loop and you are trying to check if you have come to the end of the list and stop that particular function operating. Then I can use this length and I can check, which is the length of this number list is basically 8. Now I can also have some of the handy functions which is mostly required is min, and also have a max, which will give me the max value and min value in a list. Now let's try to run over this b element. So if I am going to print max b here, can you guess what will be the values which will be displayed? So as you can see from the list, what our max function will do is basically going to compare the first character. So as you can see, if you have a here, then that will have a less value, and if you have a z here, then that will have basically the highest value compared to our ASCII coding. So if I just compile this and I mention max b, it will basically print z. Or I can also mention something which is not just a single character but a combination of characters, so we are sure that it's comparing the first letters. So let's try to print max b, and it mentions z. And if I mention here my name and again say min b, it's going to mention this as the output because it starts with a, and a is the first letter in our characters. So this is the nature of using max and min. So this is how you use max and min, and mostly this max and min functions are used over integer list. Now also what you can do here is, what if I want to compare all the strings value based on the length? So what if I say b and I say I want to compare this b and find the min and max based on the length. The minimum is the smallest string and the max is the largest string. So I will say key and I will say mention here as the length. So if I execute it, I will surely see z as the minimum element here from the b list. So let's try to execute that, and you can see the z is the minimum. Now I can also do the same thing with the max, and here I will have the simple as the output. As you can see in Python, functions and data types are case sensitive, so we cannot interchange capital and small letters. So I'll execute it and I can see the output simple. Moving on, I can also add two lists and form another list. So as you can see here in previous few examples, I have done a equal to a comma b. What if I want to create one more list where it is not of type list of the list but combination of a and b? So for example, if I have a and b and I want to basically merge those two lists, so I can say print a plus b, or I can give it to another variable called z and print that as well. So what basically it will do is merge both of the lists. Now the next thing which we will be seeing is operating on this new list. Let's try to store it in a variable called z a plus b, and we will be doing further operation on z. The first thing we will be doing here is, as it's a combination of strings, boolean and integer value, What if I want to find something in this? So I will be using a function called count, and I can mention what I need to find out from here. For example, I want to see if it has Ajay inside this list. Then I will say .count Ajay, and it will give me the number of times that element is present. Ajay is present 2 times. It's here and here. And I can also say 10. And basically it is an integer, and 10 is also present. If I give some element which is not present, it's going to give me 0. And what if I want to add more elements? So I can use the function append, and I can say new, and it will basically add that particular element. And if I say print z, I can also see the output new added in the end. Now new has been added twice because we executed this twice.
Hey there, check out UI5CN for awesome hands-on courses on enterprise technologies like SAP and more. To watch similar videos, subscribe to UI5CN YouTube channel.